What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back today with, you guys have asked for this, the EX stage of the part 3 of the 4th anniversary. Now, of course, in Danmachi, of course. Now, this one is interesting. Now, as you guys know, typically, and I will emphasize typically, I do like to build a team that could be pretty free-to-play friendly. That is not the situation today, but let me kind of explain how you could possibly potentially do this free-to-play. Now, I built a couple of teams. I built quite a few teams for this, and I had one team that was very, very, very free-to-play friendly that did a pretty respectable job. Now, I was never able to get the turn order quite down. I will tell you this. Every 7th turn, they're going to remove their debuffs, and then on the 8th turn, they SA. You will also have to rebuff somewhere in there. I believe it's actually on the 8th turn as well, the beginning of the 8th turn. So you do need to have some survivability, and these opponents hit crazy hard. Now, when I did that, I had OG Haruhime, I had Wealth at +2, and Wealth actually did really, really, really good. I also had Vest at +2, and I was sacking Aphrodite. Now, if you don't have Aphrodite, you can actually sack Epimetheus. And when I mean sack, literally I mean put like the swap anklet on them or make them weak enough that they die like immediately and turn over. Now, the other thing you do want to do here, if you're going for the long game, do not worry about don't worry about the SA gauge charge. It'll be helpful, but you don't need it. My Line here in slot 4, you could actually swap out with Artie or someone like that does not only a death saving throw, i.e. anything above 10%, you will survive a killing blow at least once. Well, only once, really. She also does a big defensive buff. So Haruhime does an offensive debuff. Artie, who I'll actually bring up here, which admittedly is from last year's event, but you can use really anybody in that realm. Let me go ahead and pull her up here. Wrong one. There we go. Artie, with her skill 1, not only does, like I said, the death saving throw, but also a 30% physical and magic resistance buff, as well as HP regen. All 3 of those are going to be really good. Now, to be honest with you, with Haruhime on the team, you don't need the HP regen as much. Having a good defensive buff would work. So slot 1, you got to have Haru. She's like pretty much necessary. And I would prefer the OG over the new one. This is a rare situation where the OG is going to be better. Wealth is pretty much mandatory because Fire Team, if you have Aisha, you can use her. But Wealth is a little bit better for this. Now, like I said, either Aphrodite or Epimetheus or someone like that for the sack, because you're going to sack an AoE damage dealer. And, as I said, get rid of Line and put on RD. And then I would even get rid of this spell and put on, because if you're going free to play, I'm going to assume you probably don't have the spell maxed out. If you do, great, he's perfect. If you don't, use Argonaut Bell. Everybody's got Argonaut Bell completely maxed. So that actually could be a thing. I do adore Vesta for this, but admittedly there are better units. I'm looking at you, Winter Haruhime. Main reason is you do want to remove those status debuffs. So jumping into the fight here. Had to do a little camera adjustment there, my apologies. Jumping into the fight here. With this team, and I'll kind of show you the ropes with a team that will S-clear it. Now, to be honest, with that team I just recommended for you, obviously you want to use the best assists possible, and you really, 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 with your assists, want to focus on defense. Someone that can debuff your opponent's damage, buff your all of your allies' defenses, and you can do that with a physical and magic resistance buff and an AoE buff. So you really, 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 on the assist side, with a team like that, want to focus on defense first and foremost. You will go like 30, 40, maybe 50, 60 turns, but you'll win and you'll get your 50 Iris. And to me, I think that's far more important than, flexing to get the S clear. Get those rewards really is going to help you guys out drastically. Now, that said, if you could build this team, absolutely great. Let's go in here and let's fight this fight. Now, right out of the gate, we want to focus on our debuffs. We want our debuffs on point. Now, with Wealth, I could do his debuffs, but that is a resistance debuff, and it's got the extra attack. I'm going to go ahead and do his main buff, just so we get a little bit of extra damage out. But you've got to focus on debuffing your opponent pretty drastically. All right. Now, obviously, with this team, I'm actually focusing a little bit more on getting AoE damage out and getting fire attack damage out because he is, fire resistant. Let's go ahead and talk about that real quick, because you will notice that I sacked 2 units on turn 1. That's very, very, very abnormal. Normally, you only sack 1. We sacked 2 this time just because we need everything out there immediately, or we will pretty much die. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Now, our opponent's down 45% in magic, so magic units really will be better here. Fire's down 55%. Now, to be fair, some of that is because we did do a 15% fire resistance debuff as well, and we did a all unit resistance down, and we did a magic resistance down. But to be fair, it's 25% magic resistance. They're natively 20%. It's a 15% fire. They're natively 40%. So you want to plan accordingly for this. Now, water is also debuffed here as well, so you could use a water team here too, but fire is slightly better. And while water can do well here, the magic water team isn't your best. The physical water team for AoE is the best, because you have to build an AoE team for this. A single target team is not going to be able to do it. So, getting back into the fight. Okay? We're going to go ahead and do Akane. We need to make sure we keep our buffs and debuffs in play for a bit. We're going to do skill 2 with Wealth. Now, we are going to go ahead and start buffing Bell. And here's the interesting part. You will notice that there are a lot of debuffs on all my people in play. Strength, Magic, Agility, and Endurance. I'm going to bring Vesta in here and get rid of those. So, remove Strength, Magic, Agility, Endurance, and Dex debuffs. We don't have a Dex debuff, but she's going to wipe those out pretty much immediately. If we do not get rid of those, we are going to die. Now, she does remove them out and out. If I had Winter Haruhime as I recommended on here, Winter Haruhime would have done it. Unfortunately, they singled out Bell. Now, this is a thing, guys. I want to emphasize. This is a very, very, very hard event. And there are situations in which they're not going to fight fair. They're 100% going to come at us with everything they got, single out one unit, case in point, my Bell, and pretty much kill them. So we've got to try this again. So 40% debuff. We're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to do that, and we're going to do that. You just got to... Sometimes that happens. Sometimes we get hit in just a very unflattering way, and then we just basically have to restart and try again. That's life, guys. It happens. Okay? Now, once again, I'm going to go back to Yosuga. I'm going to go back to skill 2. Let's see. Bell... Yeah. We can actually... Yeah. We're going to stick with turn 1. We're going to stick with turn 1, and we're going to continue doing skill 3 with Vesta. We should be fine. Emphasis on should. But the one thing I will emphasize is, while I am going for the S-clear here, notice that we do not have the big defensive buff like I was recommending for the other team. So, there are situations in which we could get pretty killed. It's a thing. But for now, actually we look like we're in pretty good shape. Okay? So now, I can go down here and remove Strength, Magic, Agility, and Endurance Dex buffs on our opponent. Notice we've got Strength, Magic, Agility, and Endurance. We don't have Dex, but we do have Endurance buffs. So we can get rid of all of those. That is part 2 of this whole thing. Now, there's some argument as to whether you could remove those last turn or this turn. I find removing the debuffs is a little more effective. I'll put Bell on skill 2, and then I'm going to keep Haruhime on Yosuga. The main thing is you want to pay close attention. I know that using... everybody's death saving throw is just absolutely getting squandered this time. What is going on? I do know for an absolute fact that Running this with icons does not look pretty, but we need to have those icons to see what is going on. So right now, our foes are all debuffed pretty effectively. They do have guard rate, physical resist, and 1 unit resist up, but we're not worried about that. We're doing mostly AoE attacks, and aside from counters, obviously. And really nothing else matters. So here's a valid point. Notice that the physical resistance on Epimetheus is up. That's why you want to use magics, because with that physical resistance up, you do not want to be fighting that. Also notice with the guard rate up and the 1 unit resistance up, if I had someone like Winter Haruhime on here, she would wipe that out pretty much in one turn. She'd wipe out all of their buffs and all of their debuffs pretty much. Not the first turn she does her skill, but like the second turn. So we survive one turn, we move on to the next one. It is a very, very, very handy skill to have. Unfortunately, my Winter Haru is just not up to the task. Mine is only +1 and has been +1. And stubbornly, I've never given her the bonds she needs. So maybe that's just a deficiency in how I do things. But I find Vesta's been doing a respectable job. Now, one problem I've got here. I'm completely out of death saving throws. If you notice, there is no 10% death saving throw here like there is on Vesta. Avoids KO. So I've got to be a little careful. But Vesta's running low on MP, so I need to do an MP regen. So I've got to be really, really, really cautious now because they're hitting us stupid hard. All right. Let's go. Now, you will notice SA gauge charge is up there, and that's great news. We are working towards a triple SA. Triple SA is where we need to be. Now, you will notice this turn we're not taking nearly as much damage, and that's pretty important to note, because once their buffs and once their buffs are gone and our debuffs are gone, we're in a much happier, better, safer place. All right? So, okay, so we only have the strength and magic buff there. Let's see. We do have the SA gauge charge here, so we're good there. They will be removing things here in just a moment. Now, I could rebuff here. Yeah, Flame Wings gets turns 2, but Empire enhances turns 2, so we're good. We're actually good. Let's do a Sheikah here. That'll give us counter and penetration rate. Counter's not really that important, but penetration rate is going to be very important. Plus, we're going to need the MP regen. That said, I am going to go ahead and... Let's see. They've got no buffs or debuffs really to speak of. I mean, not that we can remove. We need those death saving throws here shortly. So I'm going to do one more round of MP restoration as well on Vesta. Vesta is going to be okay with damage. She's not going to be the greatest because you need to have like an insane number of debuffs for her to really do her thing. Now, her death saving throw, oh, Belle! Ugh! And that is what can happen. Attempt number 3. Attempt number 3. Now, don't be ashamed. This is a very, very, very hard one. And you will notice I'm getting hit with a lot of things that are really not preferable. And I also emphasized this team could be built better. But perseverance. Perseverance will make the difference. So let's go. Now, pay close attention to the skills. Notice they are buffed up. There we go. They got buffs, and we got our debuffs. Now, once again, I kind of feel like getting rid of those debuffs is a little more important than worrying about our buffs. So, we're going to use skill 3 to get rid of the debuffs. Also because that is a fast skill, and I don't believe her skill 2 is a fast skill. Oof! Haruhime, I need you to do your job, girl. Man, these first few rounds are absolutely just unbelievably brutal. Like, completely brutal. You'll notice we're, like, consistently on the ragged edge here. There is an assist I could throw on here, but it would, with my team build, it would actually cost me I believe it's turn 8 triple that I'm going to be getting. Maybe turn 9, I'll have to see when it happens. And I don't want to do that. I absolutely do not want to do that at any cost. So I've got a turn here where they're not buffed, we're not debuffed. I can once again focus on doing some MP regen, and I'll do it a little bit earlier than I did before. So here we go. Turn 4 MP regen. That means turn 5 I can put the death saving throw back on us, which will be really nice. Notice they do like no damage here, which is super nice. There we go. So turn 5, I'm going to restore that death saving throw. We're going to need that most assuredly. And I'm going to go back to doing Yosuga with her. And pretty much Bell has got 2 turns left in his Pyro Enhance. Let's see. Bell has a death saving throw. I believe Welf lost his. He did. Harahime most certainly did. And Vesta did as well. So we really need to make sure that we have that restored. So on the second line there where it says avoids KO times 1 when HP is greater or less than 10%, that's what we need. That is going to be a lifesaver. And that's also another reason why having her skill that reduces the buffs and debuffs is so absolutely important. But you really, really, really got to pay attention to the turn order and to what you're doing here. Now, 2 more turns, and they're going to remove all their debuffs. So in 2 turns, we've got to reapply debuffs. So in this turn, I'm pretty much going to focus on MP regen with Vesta. With Haruhime, I think we're still good with Yosuga on this turn. In fact, I can actually do Sheikah on this turn because I don't need to worry about that. And I don't want Haruhime to run out. That would be a worst case scenario. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so notice once again, like I said, turn 7, their debuffs are gone. In the turn 6, they remove them. Turn 7, we have to re-debuff. Now, to be fair, our buffs are going to be gone at the end of this turn. But to be honest with you, there's not a huge amount you could do about it. And because Epimetheus is going to SA on the next turn, you absolutely 100% must get these debuffs out here. So, we're going to go ahead and focus on getting debuffs out here. Critical and guard rate down. Fire resistance down. And I believe we can just do an MP heal with her because she doesn't really do a huge amount. She's going to remove buffs, but they don't have any buffs. So we can do 1 more turn of MP heal with her. Haruhime is doing her 40%. Let's go. Pretty straightforward stuff. Nothing too wild, nothing too crazy. And definitely nothing out of the ordinary. Okay. Now notice they are buffed up. Okay. So I was right. Turn 9 is the triple. I'm just shy of getting a triple on turn 8. So he's going to SA at the end of this turn, and we're going to have to survive it. So here we go. Let's get rid of... We're going to have to get rid of his buffs. So remove strength, magic, endurance, and agility buffs. Notice those are what are currently on there. Now, I don't recollect if he debuffs or not, but I think on this turn, with the SA incoming, buffs got to be gone. Buffs are absolutely #1 most important. Okay? And you will notice that we actually, no, take that back. It is pretty obvious. We've got our debuffs. Let's do one thing real quick. So, since our buffs are gone, we've got our death saving throws. Do you need to restore death saving throw on anyone? We actually do not. What is their buff? So let's pay close attention here. Because we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. We can't do both. We have to choose one or the other with this team build. So, strength, magic, agility, and endurance up 30. And our debuff is strength, magic, agility. Okay. So yeah, we want to get rid of those buffs. Because they're not debuffing our defenses. They're debuffing our outgoing damage. So, in other words, on this turn, get rid of their buffs. Absolutely, critically, 100% important. All right, I will go ahead and give myself the buffs again. We will need those. We are going to do an essay here shortly, but in the interim, you do want to pay attention. You do want to make sure that you've got everything pretty much perfect, because if you don't, life is going to suck. And you will notice that I'm doing Sheikah here with Haruhime because we want that penetration rate. Counter rate, not so much, but we do absolutely fundamentally need that penetration rate. Okay, ladies. So long as we don't lose our death saving throws, we're fine. Because we can always do the triple next turn. Okay? Here we go. Now the downside is here, if I do the triple next turn with the debuff still on, life kind of sucks. But let's play it by ear. Let's see what happens here. Everyone should have the death saving throw. Everyone should be fine at this. Okay. And actually, notice, we are okay. In fact, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, I believe that's actually a percentage hit. So that actually didn't kill us. We're in good... Well, actually, no, it can't be a percentage hit. Because if you're not debuffed... I don't know. If you're not debuffed, it will kill you. But... Or if they're not debuffed, they will kill you. But here we go. So... we need to get rid of these debuffs on ourselves. We're going to do this. We're going to do Yosuga. And we're going to go ahead and do skill 2 here. And then next turn, we're going to do our triple. If I did my triple here, it would do practically nothing. Because, well, simply put, their guard rate is up, their magic resistance is up, their physical resistance up, their all unit resistance is up. Almost have to wait for those to expire. I mean, we could still do it. It's still going to, you know, hurt them pretty badly. Let's just see what happens here. Yeah. You know what? We're on turn 10, but they're starting to take damage. So I'm going to go, even though they do have some defensive buffs, I can't wait for those to expire. I've got to kill them. And since we're getting the 100% magic and 100% fire boost, and Bell hits like a truck and debuffs both magic and fire resistance, I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to be okay. Vesta, I'm going to go ahead and do her skill right here because that is going to be a big hit. And let's go. Let's go. Now, once again, I do want to emphasize, this probably isn't the perfect run, okay? But this is the run that I could pull off. If you guys were at the live stream last night, I actually maxed most of these units out with gnome tickets. So if you guys if you don't have these units maxed out, you really want to check your gnome ticket infrastructure. You do want to check your shop and all that stuff. Now, to be completely fair here, I would say probably emphasize the water team over the fire team. So I still believe the water team is going to be harder, or I say harder hitting, but the fire team still ain't bad. And I've been telling you guys for a long time how great the water team is, and we're going to see that actually with EX Mission 2. But for now, here we go. All right, so we're really close. We're really, really, really close. Okay, so the downside with this is Bell's essay. Bell's essay is 1 turn. So we've got to reapply the debuffs here. We're going to go ahead and do MP regen with her. We're going to do Yosuga here. So that attack being... That Bell's attack being a 1-turn debuff means that since Haruhime wasn't doing her Yosuga skill, it was not replicated. Now, here's the fun part. Turn 12. This is where we need basically to maximize our chances for winning. So we're going to do the Bell debuff one more time. Now, you would think that I'd want to use Yosuga here, but our goal is to kill it. And Haruhime does have a magic fire attack, as does Aphrodite. And Wealth has a really good 80% single target. So I'm going to single out Epimetheus with Wealth and let everybody else kind of do what they do. Now, Bell is going to essay here, and that big debuff is going to make a massive difference. Notice all the other enemies are gone, and Wealth finished off Epimetheus. There is your turn 12 kill. It ain't quick. It ain't easy. It's definitely very dirty, and it definitely took us a couple of attempts. But that is that, guys. Go get it. And like I said, if you can't do the S clear If you have Wealth at +2, you have the Argonaut Bell, and you have Vesta like +2, and you can build like a crazy defensive buff skill, you should be okay. You should be all right. And if you don't have Vesta at all, but you've got Artie, throw Artie on your team. She'll be good in this situation, and since she does do a defensive buff, you probably will want to replicate that anyway. So I deeply apologize I wasn't actually able to get that team out, but I have to emphasize, you know, between COVID wiping the family out and all that stuff, I just have to get this done for my purposes and get this out there. So I hope you understand. I hope that makes sense. But for now, that's going to be the video. Let me know if this helped you guys out. Like, comment, share all that good stuff. Note, I did this with, let's go back in here. All my adventures, with the exception of Haruhime. Oh, go away. That's not what we wanted. Let's get back in there. Haruhime, Line are the only 2 older units here. Bell, Vesta, Aphrodite, and Wealth, all brand new units. And even on the assist side. On the assist side, we've got Hermes, brand new unit. Aphrodite, brand new unit. We are even using the Eyes, brand new unit. And as far as defensive features go, because I know you guys like to hear about that, literally just using breastplates. I'm using maxed out, fully ascended breastplates on everybody. And it's good to go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like, comment, share, and all the good stuff. I'll be back with more Danmachi really soon.